Okay, this is my predictions for UFC Fight Night. Kenny Florian versus J.Lau. First up, we have, Anthony Johnson versus Tommy Spears. Tommy Spears has the experience advantage overall. However, as far as I can tell, I think as far as I know, both of them are strikers, and it seems that Anthony also has the height advantage. However, again, experience can play a factor a lot. However, I haven't really seen a lot of Tommy Spears, but I have seen some Anthony Johnson's, and I think that he will get the win, second round TKO. But again, since I haven't seen Tommy Spears, I will not be surprised if this is wrong. Next, we have Roman Minchin versus George S. I'll just call him that because I'm not gonna bother butchering his name because he'll probably kill me if I see him walking down the street. Anyway, I have George Stratopoulos via split decision because I think that both of them have 10 fights. And let's just say that I think that I think that they both have a fighting style that can gel well with the other, and let's just say that they might cancel out with each other. However, I think George overall has better judo and wrestling than Roman, and I think that and overall I think George has has better cardio over Roman. So that's what I get for this one. Okay, now we have Shami Cervelo versus Clay Guida. I looked up on Shami Shaibo's record. He didn't really seem to surprise me that much. He's 10-4. Clay Guida has been psychotic. Has a shitload. However, Archangel has said that Sammy is vulnerable to submissions, and guess what Clay Guida is good at? Submissions. I have submission choke first round. By the way, I'm reading this off of the UFC page because I can't find my fight code. So if you discredit me, on you. But anyway, next fight: Manny Gambarian versus Jeff Cox. I do not really like Jeff Cox. I really think Manny Gambarian, I think he's on a roll. He has some good momentum. I'm definitely rooting for him. He's one of my favorites. Not really a big mark to be on my top 10s, but he's getting up there a lot. I'm just a big fan of judo and throws and shit, and he has sick and I think that he will get a submission in the first round or knock. Probably a Kimura. Now then, Ryan Roberts versus Marcus Aurelio. I think Ryan Roberts is a substitution, so I'll openly admit that I haven't seen any of Ryan Roberts' fights yet. Let alone, I only know he's 14-2. I have a lot of hype there's a lot of hype as far as I know with Marcus Aurelio, so I just decided to I went with Ryan Roberts to submission choke second round, but that's really only because I looked at his fight finder. But I have seen Marcus Aurelio, so I think I'll change that to I'm gonna play safe and go by unanimous decision, due to the fact that on my first review, let's just say I didn't have any decisions, and that really made me suck at the predictions for UFC 82. Next, Dean Thomas against Josh Neer. Josh Neer, so far is on the downhill slope as far as I know. I think Dean Thomas TKO second round. I just think that Josh Neer is just too sloppy, and I think he's just not the dentist that he used to be. And he's just, again, on a downhill slope. Next we have Gray Maynard versus Frankie Edgar. I think that this is just going to be a big wrestling match. None of them is going to have it. I think Frankie Edgar by split decision. I'm going by the experience factor in this because I think that they're both decent wrestlers, and this is going to be a wrestling match. Next, James Irvin versus Houston Alexander. I'm a big Houston Alexander fan, so I'll admit that this is going to be kind of biased. Houston Alexander TKO first round due to the fact that TKO is basically the way Houston Alexander does stuff, even when he loses. And James Irvin he's just not one of my favorites. I'll admit a biased Houston Alexander TKO first round. However, if James Irvin wins, this is a coin flip basically. Next we have Kurt Pellegrino against Nate Diaz. I like Nate Diaz, I like Kurt, but I think Nate Diaz might have more momentum against him, but I think Kurt definitely has more background in everything and has the experience advantage, so unanimous on Kurt. However, I think this is going to be a pretty good fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be another decision. Well, actually, I injured to split decision, not unanimous. I think Nate Diaz is better than that. As you have Tim Boetsch versus Matt Hamill. I just think Tim Boetsch is just going to dominate Matt Hamill. I know that he's only has had one fight in the UFC, but he made David Heath look ridiculous, and that kind of left a mark on me. Matt Hamill, he doesn't really seem a contender, and he got a bullshit loss against Michael the Count Bisping. TKO. Basically, Tim Boetsch is just going to do the same thing that Matt did to David Heath in '81. Next we have Carl versus Diego. I'm a big Heat fan. I think that he's just going to be down that. Although Diego might be better overall, I think Carl can definitely move around and definitely use his judo to definitely counteract everything that Diego might throw at him. I'm going to have to go split decision with Parisian. Next, main event, KenFlo versus J.Lau. I have Kenny Florian submission choke second round. I think that Kenny Florian, he kind of surprises me a lot when it comes to submissions and going on the ground. And I think that he can definitely beat J.Lau, or however you pronounce. Anyway, those are my predictions. I just think that this is probably going to be. Anyway, this looks like a good fight card. Definitely hope to be seeing you. Peace.